Good morning, everybody. This is Stacy Turner with our DMOpro Zoom. We're so glad to have you joining us this morning. We survived graduation week. She's graduated. It was just a fun weekend, and I had somebody stop me in the grocery store, and I may have mentioned this last weekend, but this weekend somebody stopped me and they were like, "Oh my gosh, how's your mama heart doing? Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, this is great." I was just so excited. And I have friends that have just really had a hard time with their teenagers, or just really dramatic, drastic things. A loss of one of Colin's friends as a teenager, and just they're never going to have a chance to live that moment with them. So I was just so thankful and in such gratitude. And we were at breakfast. I think it was graduation day, Jarrett and I and our son and his wife. And I said, okay, I am determined that I am not going to cry tonight. Like, there's no reason to cry. And Jarrett looked at me and he's like, if you're talking about crying and not crying, it's probably a good indication you're going to cry. I was like, no, I'm prepping myself ahead of time. Like, I'm not going to. I'm talking myself through this. But honestly, I never even felt like sad or had to fight it back, tears or anything. It was just a fun evening to celebrate her. So again, I felt like kind of I graduated as a mom too, that she's our youngest one, and they're just all great kids and great people. And I'm just super thankful, honestly, that this business has allowed me to be present with them. And I think I've said this before, but being a part of this company and working for myself and working from home gave me that flexibility to be present with them when I wanted to be. But it also really changed the tone of our house. Like, I wasn't stressed. I wasn't always, at the end of my day, feel, empty from a long work day and just wanting to check out. When the kids came home and we had the evening, like, I wanted to check in with them. I wanted to lean in. I wanted to be, do family things. And I wasn't just, used up or had all of my conversation gone or just, stressed. I really feel like it changed the structure, and the atmosphere of our home, because I, as the mom, wasn't stressed. And you've heard that saying, if mom ain't happy, nobody happy. And it's true. Like, we so often set that tone in our house. And so to me, it was just, as they came home from school, I was embracing that time with them. And I had, for the most part, finished my work for the day. And I mean, of course, there's things in the evenings that we do for our business, but it was because I chose to do that. I didn't have to do that. And I wasn't doing it to build somebody else's business. I was doing it to build mine and to give us options. And boy, has it ever. So for those of you with little ones, hold tight to this and build it, because it can be an amazing source of income and community, family that really makes an impact on not just your life, but on your kids' life. I mean, this business shaped the way I thought about life and how I parented, because of the skills that I was learning. And then I was teaching them, how to communicate. They saw me stepping into people's lives and leaning into them and asking questions. And it, helped me teach them how to have good conversations with people. And, to see Ansley joining me in the business now, at age 19, and she just qualified her business this month. So that is super fun. And getting her own customers and inviting to the event. And I'll tell her, hey, come downstairs, let's sit on the porch and, work through our DMO planner. And so she'll bring it down and we'll have like a discussion, a talk session. It's just fun to see, like, this is even something we can step into adult life together and be that connector. And at conference, having her there with me. And I mean, even if it means we go on vacation twice a year, great. That's this commonality, whatever she wants to do with it. But it's cool to see her stepping into that too. So again, just super thankful for this. And I hope you guys are really enjoying these Monday conversations as much as I am. And I just feel like we have so much to learn from each other. And it's why I wanted to open this up to us. I'm hoping there's some of you maybe that are not typically able to be on Zoom with us on Monday mornings. that are able to join us today. But I know so many people watch the recording. Sometimes there's as many as 100 replays on those links when I look at YouTube, which is just crazy. And that, sometimes we'll have 40, people on live and then watching those replays. So that you keep coming back means somehow it's serving you, and it's definitely serving me as well. So I appreciate you guys. And I wanted to discuss that. I just wanted to chat and see it's one thing, right, for us to listen to these. If we listen and listen and listen and we never apply, I'm just like the resounding gong making noise then, right? Like that's no good. We want to listen and then apply it and, learn from that. And I don't know if you guys are in the Healthy Living Affiliates Voxer chat. Well, I know you guys aren't all on there, but there is an NMG chat, and Michaela Peterson's message may have been passed around. And if Michaela, if you're listening to this later, you're a champ at this, but she was just sharing her results from this last sourdough event that she did. And I think they had like 30 people at this sourdough event. And she had a ton of interest, like serious interest in the product and the business. And she was just sharing the results of that event with everyone, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, that's so great. And it is great. I remember a year ago, Michaela Peterson talking to a smaller group of us saying, I'm doing these sourdough events and I don't even know if it's worth it. I don't know if it's going to build business. I'm not necessarily getting customers from it. I'm building this community of people, but I don't necessarily see it really building my business or my team. I'm just not sure that all of this, is worth that. And she's like the pioneer of sourdough events now, to where a lot of people across the country are doing them. She really paved the way. She had to learn how to do it. She has an awesome boards page that she put like all the instructions on. I mean, seriously, amazing. And so I just thought, what if she had stopped 10 months ago, stopped doing these, and thought, I just don't know if it's really worth it. She got better at it. She had to keep her mindset strong. Like she knew this was a way to draw in people like our salad jar parties are. She had to keep doing it even when she didn't necessarily see the results. So she had to really keep that mindset strong and keep shifting that to the positive. She had to build her skill set, learning how do I adapt this sourdough event to really having a Juice Plus conversation, discussing gut health, making that tie together and bringing Juice Plus in a way that is a seamless conversation and not awkward. That took time for her to learn how to do that, right? Like we don't think about that. Sometimes we just see somebody's end result. We compare that to our beginning or, their middle result to our first one that we do. And, oh, well, I didn't have 30 people come to mine. So I guess people in this area are interested. It takes time to build that momentum that we've talked about. She had to do the activity and keep doing the events and keep building that community, all of those things, marketing herself, learning a new place. They did this at like a bar. And I don't know, I think they just reserved it. I'm not sure how it all came about. Maybe she'll share that with us somehow. But like she had to market herself and get that out there. And then she has now these really strong conversations that are happening. But it had to start where maybe it wasn't so great. And she just had to keep going and building to where now 10, months later, she's really got something amazing going, but she could have stopped. And we don't want that. We want to apply what we're learning here into our mindset, into our skill set, increasing that skill set, working on our activity, making sure we're staying in that activity long enough to see results, right? And especially with your new team, guys, that's something that really you've got to like embrace with them and really engage them to keep them in the game long enough, close enough to where if they start having some negative response from family, like you're right there and you just stay close with them and keep moving them with you until they start to see some momentum of those conversations. I had one of our newer team members send me a message and said, Stacy, is it normal for people to just ignore me? Why aren't they ignoring, or why are they ignoring me on these Facebook messaging, threads that she was doing? And I said, because they don't know you. They don't know you. They don't trust you. They don't even like you because they don't know you yet. These are totally cold market conversations where you're inserting a solution for them that they just don't have that relationship with you. Like, it's going to take time having conversations and building that with them, but don't give up. Swing back around and ask how they're doing about something else, and just keep that conversation going, making sure you friend them and that they see the posts that you're putting out and they get to know you, and just be genuine and real. But it's going to take longer with that type of conversation. They don't know her, right? Another one of my newer team members, she's been posting more on Instagram. And at first, it was nothing. And she was like, I don't know, maybe I didn't do it right. I didn't have the right words. And I said, there's no right or wrong. You just have to do it. And you're going to get better as you do it. But follow people that do it well. Find those people on Instagram that you're like, I love their post about this. I like their creativity with it. I like the flow of the conversation. I like their imaging. And so she's started doing it. And she's, it's my niece, and she just turned 20 yesterday. Hey, Miley, happy birthday if you're listening. And, she's doing, it's so cute. Her posts are great. And you can see from her first one, even now, how much better it is a couple of months later, 6 months later, how much it's going to be even better. And she said, I'm starting to get people asking me now, hey, what is that? And having conversations, where the first couple times she posted, she got nothing. And she's like, this doesn't work. Nobody responded. So it's the consistent activity, keep going, that works. So I want to hear from you guys. Those are just a couple of experiences lately that I've seen with some of my newer team, of just like, keep going, keep working, keep doing it, keep doing the activity that's going to come through. Talk to us. What are you guys learning that you're applying? Because like I said, we don't want to just listen to these and hear them and then listen the next week and then listen to the recording or whatever. We want to really apply what we're learning. What is something you guys have picked up from these conversations that you're applying to your business?
Stacy, I'll go. I think after being in the business so long, and I know, that we're supposed to do little customer care, little personal growth, all the things that it helps us to work on. But the DMO planner and then this, it just kind of solidifies things that what you need to do, and it helps you to take those steps. So that's what I've really noticed, that it's just helping me to take the steps I need to build my business. And and every time we're on here, I think we all learn. I know for me, I learn new things each time. I love your verbiage that I have not used before about, you might want to do what I do. That just so light and free and easy, instead of, are you interested in building a business? Right? That doesn't sound so good. So just learning different tips and tricks to, just tweak your verbiage, tweak your daily method of operation, whatever it is. I have just found so much value. Every time we have a conversation, I take something away.
Thank you, Patty. And sometimes it's just a small, tiny adjustment, right? It's not like this huge, big thing. It's just a little adjustment in that conversation or in that verbiage. Even if it's just an adjustment in your own confidence, I think that can make a difference. I've already shared the recording from last week 3 different times with new team members as they're talking, or even seasoned team members, about, inviting somebody to the business. We've got some really great ones that have been recorded. Go back and send them. And that's what I'm finding from these recordings. We now have over a year's worth of weekly recordings from these conversations. It's like a treasure trove of all of this wisdom from you guys, from all of us together, that we can send to our team members and teaching them and guiding them without having to constantly repeat. I'm loving it. Just go back in the app. I find the ones about conversations. If that's what it is, I send them those links, because you get the YouTube link out of the app, and then I can just send that to them and they're able to watch that recording and learn, or I just, send them back to that. And I find that super helpful. Who else would like to share?
Casey, I'll go.
Okay, Miss Barb.
Like Patty, I've been in the business for like 19 years. And so every Monday, I learn some new type of verbiage, which makes it so much easier. And I really appreciate, like this morning, you're talking about putting all the posts out on social media. not getting a response. And then just last week, out of the blue, you know, it had been a Tower Garden post that I've been posting for a year, you know, off and on different verbiage, but I get an order out of Texas, you know, and he says, I want all the bells and whistles. I've been looking at it for a long time. So sometimes it just takes people a long time to make a final decision. And so those posts do work. It just, sometimes you just don't get the response quick enough, but I love your verbiage. It's been really easy, and asking for the sale has been much easier instead of beating around the bush. And are you ready to get started? Yeah, I really appreciate these money calls.
So is that the shift that you've made in asking? You know, what was the struggle before, and then what's that verbiage you're using now?
I think more so, you know, you're going back and forth it seemed like months with a customer, even if asking them for more information on new videos or whatever. I've been using boards a lot. I love that. It's easy to grab a video and send it to them. And they seem to, especially the short ones. I'm one of those that don't like the 15. I don't like long videos, and I'm sure that they don't either. They're not going to sit there and listen to those, but those short ones have been just wonderful. And then I actually just do, are you ready to get started yet? And that's basically, you know, it comes back pretty good.
Excellent. Thank you, Barb, for sharing that with us.
You bet.
Who else would like to share with us? Remember, you guys are muted. Marcia, is there anything that comes to mind for you?
Well, I think I've said this before, but I come here for inspiration for myself, but also to get nuggets to share with my team. And what I'm getting ready to kind of launch my own team potluck and team call. And I know that there's like you said, a treasure trove of information that I can pull from in these recordings and in these calls. So I try to be here every Monday. In fact, I didn't know if you were coming today or not, but I was ready, and I've got my text, and I was glad to be here. So I'm just trying to share the love, you know, here. And I totally agree with the verbiage from last week. I took really good notes, and I've been sharing that with my team as well, and using it myself, because it is light and easy, and just an upgrade on you know, little tweaks on the verbiage that I'm using. So it's been awesome. Thank you.
I love that, Marcia. She asked me one time, she was like, can I, you know, is it okay if I'm using your information, your verbiage or topics for my call, like right after? I was like, yes, that is what I want. You know, I want to empower you guys to lead your team well, you know, to teach them. Leading is just teaching what you've learned, and you'll learn it even better when you teach it. So that's applying what you're learning by teaching it to somebody else. Absolutely. You know, if that is something that's helpful to you guys, pull from that. That's what those mini courses are in the DMO app, so that it's the worksheets are there, the video is there, the next steps with it. You can organize a Saturday morning training. Just bring your people together. You watch the video, you have the papers printed out, and you guys just work through those papers together. Absolutely. I love that, Marcia. That is an excellent example of taking something you're learning here and then applying it to your business. So thank you for sharing that with us. Anyone else want to share with us what's been working for you? What are you finding helpful? What verbiage has changed for you? Or how are you showing up for conversations? What are some of the results that you've gotten lately from a shift in a conversation or a skill set you've learned? Anything that anyone wants to share? Sean said in the chat, she said, plant the seed. I just sold a tower garden to someone. I had been talking to her on and off for over 2 years. Keep going and be consistent. Yeah, sometimes those conversations can take a seriously long time. If you want to speed it up, get on the phone. Like I've said that before, like text thread gets lost, you know, gets distracted. I've done that before where I'm interested in the conversation. I'm just busy, and then you don't reply, and then you see it like a week later and you're like, oh gee, I never even sent her that message again. So if you really want to speed things up, meet in person or get on the phone if at all possible.
Stacey, I was also you were talking about consistency, and I see some familiar faces here, some that are joining Heidi's power hours every day that she's doing those, and others are beginning to do their own as well. And she coaches the same way about Facebook, and she says, go back, and people who've liked your post about Tower Garden or about Juice Plus, go back and, you know, just message them. And she has fabulous verbiage on those. She puts her verbiage in the chat and shares it with everyone. And she has fabulous verbiage too. Her words are just, you know, easy and not salesy. And so I really am enjoying joining those. It's keeping me, you know, focused for an hour, just, you know, going through all the things, you know, social media, and reaching out to people, inviting customer care team, you know, touching my team and everything. So those have been very wonderful too. And again, consistency. But I love that coaching about, you know, social media and how to reach out. And like you said, you know, sometimes you talk to those people, especially about Tower Garden. It seems like the Tower Garden lead is very long sometimes, you know, and but that's how we reach out and say, I saw you liked it again or whatever. And, you know, what are you thinking? Would you love to get started? So.
Absolutely. And Sean said that conversation, she got on the phone. So she got the order from the phone call. So it definitely is true. Marcia, can you put the information about that Zoom that you're talking about in our Voxer chat again? Sometimes it's, again, just kind of gets lost in all the busyness of life, but consistent community is important. Consistent effort is important. It's amazing what you can get done in an hour when you're really focused on the activity that moves the mark, right? Like we've talked about, you can get really busy and distracted just with putting out fires. I know as a leader, that is very easily the case where I'm, you know, talking with a lot of different people and I'm helping my team, but am I really focusing on my business? As a leader, 80% of your time should be building direct to yourself. Have you ever heard that? 80% of your time. 80.
Wow.
Yeah. 80%. And so when you have a team, it's easy. They kind of talk about it. You go into management mode, but you know, you're helping. I mean, you're supporting, you're working with them, but that means 80% of my time needs to be finding new people to talk to, posting on social. It's the power hour. It's the DMO, right? Like following up with people that I've already spoken to, doing good customer care, inviting those people to our team. Like 80% of that time, it is so easy to do the other, where 80% of my time goes to team and only 20% time goes to my business. And what, you know, sometimes I find when I'm working really close with a lot of new people, it just is. It's going to be 80% towards them. There's nothing I can do with that because there's a lot of them right now. I've got 3 different pods of girls that I'm working in groups of 3 that are just doing really good things. And I want to give them my attention, and we're doing 3-way calls and we're doing events. Like that takes a, you know, good amount of attention. And so sometimes it's going to be sort of, if you will, off balance to where new people are getting more of your time. But if I stay in that place to where then I just shift and now I start, you know, only giving my time, only putting my time into that, then what happens is, you know, shift in business happens. People decide they don't want to do it. They fall away, and you have no new on your own direct to you that you're leading and guiding and moving up. So just be careful with that as a leader, and just be thinking about that. 80% of your time should be spent on building your own direct business, your own events, inviting to events for yourself. That doesn't mean, you know, that 20% would be reaching down and inviting your existing team or extending it out. But 80% of inviting time would be inviting your own people, you know, like your own conversations you've been having. So kind of keeping that in mind, look at your DMO, which one is getting more. Some weeks I have lots of information, or lots of names on events, event. You can like tell, okay, I spent a lot of time on that event and getting people there. And then other weeks, that side is not as full, and the DMO side is just like packed with names. And so it's not always like a perfect balance. There really is no way, but I'm just kind of keeping that in mind helps me to make sure that I am really spending the direct to me time. Anyone else want to share with us what's been working for you guys?
Hey, Stacy, where do you have that information? Because I'd love to share that with the 80% build direct to self and work on your own line and customers. I think that'd be a great training, because so many people, like you said, we get stuck in that micromanaging. So I'd love to learn more about that and more I could share it with team.
And, honestly, that's just something that has been taught to me, and I heard it somewhere, some training, but I do find it true.
Yes.
So when I say like building direct to me, that would be like frontline team members or team members downline that their upline is inactive. Right. So really working with those people, like you consider them frontline to you. If they have upline that is just not active in the business and they're not there, it's worth it for you to reach down, even if it's 5 or 6 generations down. Like I still consider them frontline to me because nobody else is there helping them. Then that is absolutely my responsibility. The people that are reaching out to me, asking for calls, bringing people to the table, they're going to get my attention as well, right? Like that only makes sense. So at some point you do look at numbers and you do reach down and you do recognize for customer count, and you can see in reports like who's getting new customers, and you'll be shocked at like people that you think are totally out of the business and they've got 3 orders this month. And you're like, what? I didn't even see that, especially as you have a larger team, as you really build that team underneath you. So, it does do good to look down in reports and reach down. But if I'm not hosting events, if I don't have events on the calendar and I'm just doing Zoom calls or Zoom events, or going to places and I do the event for my team, even if it's new team, but I'm not personally inviting anybody to events, that's where the difference is, right? So you can have a lot of active team and they're bringing you in to help them with events or host the event. They hosted at their house, but you're the speaker or you're on Zoom. So you're like, I am doing events, but are you doing an event where you're personally inviting the conversations that you've had, the people you've spoken to, that you've sent videos to? I think of like, I have conversations and I have videos out there and like touching base with people. And then I bring them in for an event, I invite them to an event, and then you talk to more people and you've got videos out there, and then you bring them for another event. And you're just constantly, doing those events and inviting those conversations, because you may have 2-3 people come to an event. It's not like we have 20 people, so you just have to consistently do them. But am I personally doing an event where I'm inviting those people I'm having conversations with? If the answer is no, because I'm doing these events out here for my team, I'm not managing my choices with my time well. And I'm going to have to really be careful and put that specific time. And again, it could be an hour a day. It doesn't mean it has to be, we're not talking 80% of the day I'm working on my business. It just 80% of that hour would be the conversations that are direct to me. And then 20% would be support to the team and what they're doing. And then, of course, you're wanting to empower your team to do those events without you and to do the activity. But another support idea would be, okay, if I'm doing a lot of 3-way calls, and I'm notorious for this, and 20 years in the business, I'm like, I don't need somebody on the phone necessarily with me to answer questions or explain the business, right? But if I'm not doing any 3-way calls or introductions to my upline, which I haven't really done that well lately, because I'm not thinking, oh, I can't answer this, let me get my upline on, right? But it's third-party validation of what I've said. It's the whole reason why we do a 3-way call It's third-party validation. Like, I still need to bring my new people to my sponsor, to Sharon, so that she can validate what I've said. And she says things different. She thinks in a different way. She's a little bit more bold with my people, just like I'm more bold with their people, because I'm not as emotionally attached to that conversation, right? So if I'm just doing three-way calls with my team, but I'm not bringing anyone to the three-way call with my upline, again, that's an example that something's off balance. So just watch what activity you're doing. Is it all support, or are you bringing people to the table, and are you bringing them to three-way calls? Are you getting new team members? Are your customers reordering? Like, look at your personal business. So I don't know if that helps, Patty.
Absolutely. And I had to share too, she's not on, I looked, but Alita Spire, actually, Chris Cotton reached way down to her, and she was busy with other businesses. She did not have Juice Plus on her radar for a business, and she made NMD. So that just shows you it does take, it's important to keep looking.
Yes. And reaching down. And I want to have Alita on sometime to share more of that story with us. So yeah. All right, Anita, you want to talk with us? She's got something to share.
Hey guys, I just wanted to comment on the sourdough event that was mentioned about Michaela, because I've been doing those. And I just want to give you all this little nugget before you find yourself in the spot I was in. Michaela does a beautiful job of featuring all of our products. There is such a connection between gut health and live produce, gut health and omegas, gut health and the fiber in our shakes. And so when you're marketing that event, she calls it a Love Your Guts event. And it's about gut health. And yes, the hands-on part is sourdough, but you want to focus and market that it's a gut health, Love Your Guts event, so that you don't have to apologize for bringing up Juice Plus. It's not a bait and switch. It is so relevant to gut health, all of our products. I mean, it is easier to bring up Juice Plus at a sourdough workshop than it is even a salad in a jar party. But you want people to not be surprised that there's more to that conversation. It's very helpful.
Anita, that's so wise. Thank you for sharing that with us, because that's part of how we market ourselves, right? So if you just did a sourdough party and they just think that they're coming to make sourdough and learn how to do sourdough event, like, you're right. If you just randomly bring Juice Plus in there, you're like, oh, where'd that come from? They're going to feel that way. And I've said that before. Like our family, I forget who it was, and somebody in our family went to a smaller town in New Mexico, and they were at breakfast, and these people came up with a tray of jewelry, which is sort of common in New Mexico. It's kind of a weird thing. And they just come into the restaurant and come up to the table, don't really say anything, but show you this tray of jewelry. And you can look through it if you want to buy something. But this is like even in chain restaurants. In some towns, like, that's a very common thing. And you're just like, I was here with my family, like, just eating, and now we're looking at jewelry. That's just weird. Like, you weren't invited into this conversation. It's just super awkward. It's, I guess, just part of the culture with that, and nobody else there thinks anything of it. But when you step in, you're like, that's odd. And so think about that. If you've got an event where it's not prepped of, hey, someone's going to bring in a tray of Juice Plus and talk to you, like, if that's never a part of the invitation, and, and knowing that there's going to be a deeper conversation, like you're saying, Anita, about gut health. It's like somebody just bringing in a tray of jewelry randomly that you're like, what is that about? It's going to feel awkward. It's not going to go as well. And that's something, again, that Michaela has like paved the way for us. She's taught us how to do the event, not as a sourdough event, but as a Love Your Gut event. And that's so true. That's how a shift in the marketing of the event will change the outcome of the people's response to the information that you share. So whatever event that you're doing, how are you marketing that event? Is it a bait and switch? Does the person feel like that? Think about from the person's perspective that's coming. What are they expecting? And then is it awkward when it's brought in? like, just really watch how you're inviting to that event so that they know sort of what to expect, and have had, some conversations and have watched a video even before they come. You'll find that they're more likely to order and move through that process because that's what they were expecting. So that's a great example of marketing yourself well, setting that event up for success. Thank you, Anita. Courtney.
Well, the
Oh, go
other
ahead.
perk to those events are literally the guests leave the event wanting to host their own event. And so you never really run out of people to talk to because people are loving it. And so if you market sourdough and you throw in Juice Plus, then they leave saying, I don't want to do that to my friends. But if you market it well to them, and then Juice Plus is brought up tastefully, and then they touch sourdough and they leave, and then they're sharing the bread with their neighbors and their friends. And they're like, I want to learn how to do that. And so then the invitation is to market, is to host for their people. So that's a big, big reason to get your marketing right, because you want people to leave with a feel good feeling about the whole package. You don't want them to say, oh, I just want you to come to my house and just teach this sourdough part. That's not worth our time. But the long term, once you get those probiotics in your belly because you've eaten that bread, then you've got to feed them well, and you feed them well with variety of plants, and you do that with Juice Plus. So it's been really beautiful. I think at one point, Michaela said that she had like 35 people wanting her to come and teach their friends. I mean, that is doing so much work for us. So the work on the front end of learning how to do it is worth it, because these are events that someone else is going to put on the calendar. Someone else is going to do the inviting. And then they're going to sit there and potentially say, I want to teach these, and join you.
Right. And sort of I think you have to be careful that you don't get lost in just the event, that you miss the follow-up, like if you've got event, sourdough event right after each other, do you have the time to really invest in the follow-up with the people that came and progressing them through the conversations and really taking care of them as a customer, inviting them to the team? I think I can see, that's where team is built in doing that next event. Like, you're doing what we do. This is what I do. You might want to, join in with us, and we need more people like you. So that's such a great addition. Courtney, you asked where the information is. I will put the board's page into our Voxer chat for the DMOpro, so you guys can look through that. And I think she's got some videos on there and that sort of thing, but she's really given us some great steps with that. So excellent. Anyone else want to share? What are you learning and what are you applying?
I'll go, Stacy. I have been applying just consistency in general. I started in January, and I said I was going to do one event a month, and I started with salad in a jars. It moved to smoothies, and now I've transitioned into farmers markets, and I've done one farmers market and another one on the books. And it's just been, I even have people asking, are you going to be at the market, on the next date? So they're every other week. And I'm just like, you could order from me anytime. You don't have to wait to go to the market. But anyway, so consistency and conversations and follow up.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about these markets. Is this a produce market?
It is a farmer's market. It has an arts section, which is more expensive per booth, and mine is $20 a booth, and it's just pretty much anything. So they do allow MLM. And they also have fresh produce. They have handmade arts and things like that.
So another great tip, thank you so much for talking about this, Marcia, is these booths. That's marketing ourselves, getting out there, being consistent, and especially like she's saying, she's finding people are coming back. It's sort of like the social media post where you put it out there and people see it over and over again, and then they'll come to the table and they'll talk to you, and then the next time they'll come again. My newest team member from this month was from a booth back in February. So it can take time for those conversations to come along. She's a massage therapist. She's going to be great at this, and like her belief has built along the way, and the desire and the vision of doing this as a business. So if you can find those, $20 is excellent. If you can find booths for $20, that is fantastic. We've been doing like $50 to $75, sharing the price with team members, splitting that, and that works. And then splitting the time if you want to. It's excellent way to train your new team members because you're having conversation over and over again with people. It's really an excellent way to market yourself and to get out there. So farmers markets, sadly, we have no farmers market in the desert here. But for those of you that live in green places, find a market. That is an excellent way. It's a time commitment, right? If you're doing it every other weekend, sometimes markets are every week. But could you find other team members in the area where they take a week and you guys, share that time slot? It's a fabulous way to find new people to talk with and connect to, and continually to having events that you invite them to. I think that that's really key. Just one conversation. It's not usually somebody walks up and they're like, this is exactly what I've been looking for and I'm ready to order right now. It can happen. So don't, toss that idea out. Expect them to have the order forms there, show them how they order, like walk them through at the end of think of how you would close out an event, close out that conversation the same way. Guide them to ordering. If you just say, okay, fill out some information and I will, and I'll send you some videos. That comes after I've shown them the order form and I tell them, just fill this information out here. You're going to order directly from the company. Like I just walk them through it, just like if they've already said that they're ready to order. And then from there, they'll say, well, they might have some objections. They'll ask some more questions. Sometimes they fill it out. We got a lady to Partner Plus just with her family's orders one day. She just filled it out. And my team member was like, you just gave her the order form. I was like, yeah, why we got to extend this another 3 months? Like if she's ready, she'll fill it out. She's ready. And so, just be intentional about that. Wrap up the conversation just like you would at the end of an event and hand them the order form, show them, explain to them how it works. If they're not ready, then just say, okay, here, put your name, give me your name and number here, and I'll text you a couple videos, text them right there to make sure you've got the right number and they got it. And then say, okay, watch that this afternoon and I'll check back in with you in a couple of days, or whatever your verbiage is going to be. But have those order forms there and expect that they're going to order. You'll be surprised at how many people will. Not always, right? But sometimes they're ready. Sometimes it's going to take a while. Thank you for reminding us of that one. Anyone else want to share? All right, well, we're a little bit long today anyway. So thank you guys. This has been an awesome conversation. If somebody else wants to jump in, I'll give you a second because I don't want to miss someone. Anyone else? Okay. All right, well, I will end this recording.